Hello, fellow nerds, and welcome to Our Nerdiest Thing. Today we are live with a very special guest, author Isabelle Olmo. Isabelle was born in San Juan, Puerto Rico, where she lived until moving to Florida at the age of 12. Being raised on a steady diet of 1980s fantasy films and Sweet Valley High, she naturally became a gifted storyteller herself. She graduated from the University of Central Florida with a degree in English literature and is an adult fantasy author whose stories are female-focused and fantastic. When she's not writing, she loves to cook, drink wine, and travel, which you can enjoy via her Instagram account. One day, she hopes to live in Barcelona, her favorite city in the world. Her debut novel is Queen and Conqueror, and the sequel, Lady of Istok, was just released in June 2023. Welcome to the podcast, Isabelle. Thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thank you for inviting me.
We're so glad to have you. Before we met you at Imaginarium, we had all kind of like split up the books because we wanted to be at least a little bit knowledgeable, at least one of us be knowledgeable.
Right.
And I luckily chose yours. And so I read Queen and Conqueror before Imaginarium, and I just fell in love with it. I didn't
know that.
Yeah, no, I love the girl power of it all.
Yes.
And then before we jump into the questions, I do have to say that I'm a fellow Sweet Valley High lover.
I was just about to say,
they were so great.
We have talked about Sweet Valley High and Sweet Valley Twins more than once. I feel like
yeah, definitely.
Yes.
I think that we, at least one of us said it was our, sexual awakening.
Well, no, Judy Blume.
Todd.
Yeah, but that was definitely like my book boyfriend. Like stand.
Todd was his name, right? I think it was Todd.
Yes, it was.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
So, yes, he was my book boyfriend standard. I'm actually collecting those books. I've been collecting them slowly. So I've got like, I think 1 through 21.
That is awesome.
Yeah. Because they're nostalgic for me. So
it's all about this. Same with like Babysitter's Club. It's just there's a 90s nostalgia to it that I'm not gonna give up.
Me either. And we shouldn't.
Exactly.
Comfort reread, right? Exactly. Sweet Valley High.
I think that's mostly where I learned a lot of my English slang from the Sweet Valley High books. But of course they were outdated by the time I got to them. So I was a little bit behind on my English slang.
Oh, that's hilarious. That's really I love that. So tell us a little bit about your journey to becoming an author, especially the role that your grandmother played in inspiring you.
Oh, I love that. So my grandmother's last name is Olmo, which is where I took it. That's how I chose it as my pen name. She was an English professor at the University of Puerto Rico, and she didn't go back to school to start her bachelor's and then subsequent master's until she had 4 kids and was 43. Wow. So yeah, so she became an English professor. And when I was born, I was the oldest grandchild. I just showed aptitude for reading and writing, and I was writing poems. So she would give me Robert Browning, Robert Frost, Elizabeth Barrett Browning poetry. So because she would gift it to me and she would always like recite poems off the top of her head, it just really grew my love for reading. And she just loved it. Out of her grandkids, I was the one that had like this obsession with reading and writing because she was an English professor, and so that I
bet she was so excited.
Yes, she was like, yes, my grandchild wants to be a poet, because originally I was going to be a poet. That's what I swore, that you could totally make a living off being a poet. So I was 11 and naive. So I was like, yeah, many people are poets. Like I wrote it down in my school, like, what do you want to be when you grow up? A poet with a straight face. So that's how it started. And I did write a lot of poetry during my teen years. And it was not until I was 20 that I started writing hardcore thick manuscripts. And they were always giant manuscripts. So the thick books is not a new thing. I just apparently have a lot to say, or I'm overly verbose. Either way, it's a thing that I do. I wrote 18 manuscripts, and I thought that all of them were not good enough. It was not until I got to the 18th one, which was for Queen and Conqueror, that I felt that perhaps it was good enough to publish, and it still took me 3 years to work my courage up to actually publishing it.
That's
Oh,
amazing. So 18 different stories, each manuscript was a
Yes.
completely different idea. That's
Yes.
amazing.
wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. I can crank them out pretty fast, the drafting, but the editing takes me a long time because I draft so fast. Half of the times it reads almost like a movie script.
Mm.
I just need to get like the idea out, and then I can go back and add the meat.
Yeah.
Because you actually wrote Queen and Conqueror in like 29 days or something like that, right?
Yes, it was 29 days.
Wow.
That's
Because
insane.
What motivates you
I,
to do that?
I don't know. Once I get into a story, which is how I've written all the manuscripts, it has been really fast paced. I just can't stop thinking about it because I am a pantser, which means that I have no plans when I go in to write. I'm like discovering the story for myself, and it's almost like reading a book at a page turning book that you can't stop reading it because you want to get to the end. It's the closest I can describe it to it. I want to know what happens as much as you guys. So I'm like psychotically writing it like I remember at one time I was writing Queen and Conquer, and the relationship was getting steamy. It's a slow burn, as you know. So
Yeah.
I got to the point that I was like, oh, I was not writing it. I was in the kitchen, and I thought to myself, oh, I can't wait to get to that book I'm reading to see what happens with the couple. And I'm like, what do you mean? What am I talking about? It's not a book I'm reading. It's a book I'm writing.
It's just one more chapter.
That
Yeah,
okay.
like that. Like, yes, I just need to write one more chapter because I need to know what happens next. And that's how I write. It's kind of like compulsively reading.
I love that. I
that
love that.
my husband keeps telling me he thinks I should be a writer for like no reason. And I keep telling him, I'm like, all these authors keep telling us that these stories and characters and ideas like it's like they're their own entity, right? Like it's not
Yeah.
even like it comes from their own brain. It like
Yes.
presents itself to the authors. I'm like, I don't relate to that at all. So I don't think I'm made to be an author.
No, well, I think I don't know why. I think it's because I became really obsessed, even at a young age, with different TV shows. And what the TV was giving me was not enough. So I started like creating worlds in my head, hence why I started with fan fiction, because the stories were just not giving enough, and I wanted
Right.
more. So I just started writing fan fiction, creating my own worlds from it. And then when it came time to do my own original stuff, then it just kind of like it was pretty easy to go from one medium to the other because I already had the thirst to find out what was going to happen in the story.
That's
Right.
awesome.
That is awesome. That is so awesome. I talked a little bit about like the feminist perspective in your books. And I feel like this quote really sums up that feminist perspective as being an author. The quote is, "Men will never be ready for women like us, and it is not our job to ready them." Love.
Yes.
I know. I love that.
Can you talk a little bit about how you weave that feminist perspective into your fantasy writing?
So originally it was a lot more like feminist heavy, and it felt a little bit preachy. So in the editing process I kind of softened, instead of it being statements from the characters, it kind of got interwoven as sort of like reflective ideas in the prose. For me it was a lot, when I started writing this, it was after the 2016 elections. There was a lot of like female rage happening, right? So I was really involved in Twitter at the time. And, Twitter was like the hotbed for political stuff that was happening, right? So there was a lot of feminine rage, like tweets that I was reading, retweeting, and all of that. So, and I was really involved with that for about 2 years or so until I had to get off TikTok because it was like really toxic and affecting me like emotionally on a day to day. But I think the ideas really lingered. And when it came time to write, I had just finished watching Game of Thrones and I was really, really pissed off. And I was like, here we go again, right? Like another woman can be in power because, she's emotional and she goes off the rails.
Yep.
And the same idea was almost like reverberating. And I was just like, I'm done with this. I want to write a story where a woman comes into power and it does not make her evil. It does not make her change. It literally just, she acts as a human would, and she does do altruistic decisions, and I want to make sure that that's really reflected and highlighted within the text. So that's when I began crafting this idea of my main character, Almira, being unapologetically powerful. Because I often feel, and we see this in society, if a woman is too straightforward, she's automatically labeled, I don't know if I can curse on this podcast or not, but
definitely can. We drop
Yes.
we
she's,
say fuck all
she's
the time.
automatically labeled as a bitch. While if a man were to speak this way, have these ideas, oh, he's very passionate, very alpha male-ish, and we really idealize the idea of an alpha male. And though that's all well and good within a fantasy realm, but I think that cementing the alpha male over and over without giving opportunity for an alpha female does a disservice to our psyche subconsciously. And I wanted to make sure I got out an unapologetic alpha female into the text with possibly a golden retriever type love interest. And I said, why the hell not? Why can I make it work? And furthermore, let's add multiple alpha females that all support one another and have each other's back unapologetically so.
Yeah. Yes. I love the Red Guard. They're amazing. It reminds me a little bit. I don't know if you've watched The Great, which is like it's about Catherine the Great and how she kind of sort of takes over. It's very similar to her.
I haven't, no, but everyone's been telling me that I need to.
Yes, you would love it. It's very, because it's got the sort of, now he's a little less golden retriever and more buffoon kind of, but he's hilarious. But she's got that power driven, like, no apologies. I'm gonna take this down, and so I think you'd enjoy that.
Is that the one with
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's the guy.
He was in X-Men.
Yes.
Holt. Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
That sounds like right up my alley. I think I have to definitely check it out.
I've never watched it either, but I was just thinking, I don't know why I'm not watching it.
It's right, like this. It sounds like something I would love.
Right.
Every time my husband would come in while I was watching it, it was like a sex scene. He was like,
of
"What
course.
are you watching?" I'm like, you just got lucky is all.
That's what Robbie sometimes my husband Robbie sometimes will look on when I'm reading a book. He'll like look over my shoulder, and every time he does, it's like the nastiest scene, spicy scene, and he's always like, "What are you reading?" I'm like, don't worry about it. It's not like you'll benefit from it later. Yeah.
Exactly. That's the only part of it that's your business.
Exactly.
So do you find that you relate to Almira the most? Or, and if not, like, who do you relate to the most of your characters and why?
So this is a difficult question because I do not like to write relatable characters. I do not like to write relatable characters. Oftentimes, I don't like to read relatable characters. I think that I relate to certain aspects of all of my characters, like a part of their personality. So in Almira, I admire the fact that she holds like her emotions in when she has to, and then of course the dam breaks loose because inevitably it does. But I don't relate to her fully. Sana, I relate to her, which is her captain, because she feels that she has to be strong and protective all of the time, and I relate to that aspect of her personality. With Hira, I relate to her rebellious spirit. So I relate to little bits of all the characters because I don't have technically a main character in the series. All of the Red Guard women that survive, and I have to say that caveat, that survive.
That's ominous.
Spoiler
that survive are main characters. For clarification, that the ones that do survive are all main characters. I'm just not showing them as main characters in book one.
I love that. Yeah, I definitely love that a little bit of you leave a little bit of you in all your characters.
Yes.
Really cool.
And can I ask really quick, just to clarify, because I haven't gotten to read one of your books yet. It's on my never-ending TBR list, right? When you say that you don't want to write or read relatable characters, do you mean that in a way of like, they're very fixed in that fantasy world, like you can't pluck them out of the fantasy world and into the real world, or like, what do you mean by that?
I think that, relatability is relative, right? Because we all relate to different things.
Yeah,
I do find that if a character has been made on purpose to relatable, they lack a certain level of realism to them.
Gotcha.
So I like to read and write characters that are heavy with flaws. I like them to make bad decisions, questionable decisions, but at the same time, I like them to pull through from the ashes. I do not want, there's a difference between bad decisions and stupid decisions. And I think that is something that I like to clarify, but I do like that characters act like human beings would, because I do find human beings infinitely interesting. And I love how flawed we are as humans, how we can be strong one moment and not the next. So when a character is almost written like an archetype, like they're just like, you know, let's put an example, very clear and cut, damsel in distress. If she's damsel in distressing all the time, I'm not going to be interested in reading her. But if, you know, I've used this example before in my channel, Princess Leia, she's kidnapped. She could totally be a damsel in distress. She's a princess and she's wearing like this white dress when they first meet her. But at no point does she loses her what's it called? Not autonomy, but her, oh my gosh, it's gonna kill me now.
Her agency.
Her drive. I'm sorry?
Her agency.
Thank you. I appreciate you. Her agency, and that flawness between her being very stubborn and sometimes doing brash decisions when she gets them into the garbage chute. That fluidity of, you know, she's not perfect all the time. And she yells for no reason, but it makes her more human. And I like to read those types of characters that are complex because they feel a lot more tangible.
I mean, we are totally on that same page too.
Definitely on board with that.
That's what we love, the morally gray,
I was
right?
gonna say, I think that's why a morally gray character is so popular right now.
It's human.
Yeah, exactly.
Humans are morally gray.
Exactly, which is funny because in that way it is a little bit relatable. But I get what you're saying, that it's, you don't want the sort of stereotypical relatable character. Yeah. And I love what you said about there's a difference between bad decisions and stupid decisions. Because bad decisions can be made with great intent. You know, people think that they're making this for a good reason, but it turns out to not work out or not be what they thought it was. So I love that. That is so true, that that you can make a stupid decision and that's way worse than making a bad decision.
Right.
Yes. And of course you can, as an author, you can purposely allow your characters to make stupid decisions as a form of either showing character growth or as a form of a plot device. I rather do the first option than the second one, because if it's showing character growth, you show them from going to being very stupid to growing and making far more informed decisions and doing a really great character arc on the character.
Well, love that. Love it. So one thing we talk about on our podcast a lot is the fandoms that we enjoy. It's called Our Nerdiest Thing for a reason. So we were just wondering if you are a part of any fandoms, or do you have any nerdy things that you enjoy?
So currently I'm not part of any fandom, but I was heavily involved in fandom back in the good old golden days, which is what I call them. I started out in Yahoo groups. I'm dating myself here.
Oh no, girl.
Yahoo groups. Yahoo groups back in the day. I had a thing. I really got into Buffy, and I really got into Buffy, and I had a thing for Spike and Buffy. I think the year was 1999 or 2000, and I started reading compulsively fan fiction from them too. And then after I read everything I could find, which took about 7 months. I was hardcore reading every fan fiction in these Yahoo groups. I started writing. I remember sending my first fan fiction out to this Yahoo group. It was called Spuffy Fan Fiction or something like that. So yes, I was involved in that for a few years. And then I rolled into a whole bunch of them, everything from Harry Potter to Lord of the Rings. And then I did Gossip Girl for a while also when I was older. And then I just stopped. I felt really old because I noticed that the kids started getting younger I was already tired of fandom wars because I had fought the battle and I had battle scars, right? So I was tired of fighting the wars and arguing with everybody. And I felt like they had all this drive to take down the next team. And I was like, do we really need to fight? Who cares?
Everybody
Who
just
cares
like
what the
what
other
you
person
like.
likes?
Yeah, like whatever.
I'm totally there too. I'm like, okay, it's okay if you don't
Like,
like
it's
that
not that
character.
serious.
It's not
Let
the
it,
end of the world.
yeah, let it go, guys. No.
Yes, and I lived through enough fandom wars. So I just kind of stopped, and that's when I actually got really serious about my writing.
You're your own fandom.
Yeah.
So that's, let me tell you, when someone first tagged me in a cosplay, that was like, I had like an out of body experience.
Oh, I think I would too.
I would have
for
cried.
sure.
I would have cried of like,
I,
that's pretty huge.
Yeah,
That's pretty awesome.
that's awesome.
I texted my friend Jill that her and I started together in the Buffy fandom, and I was like, holy shit, I have a cosplayer. And she's like, holy shit, you're legit. And I was like, I don't know what to do.
Oh, that's so sweet. That you've
So,
made.
yes.
You've arrived.
Yes, you've made it. When somebody has a cosplay of one of your characters, that's pretty great.
I think I'm gonna melt when there's a fan fiction. I like, just leave me on the
Oh my
floor, no one
gosh.
touch me.
That's like a whole new level,
Oh,
right? Because
Oh, yeah.
as someone who wrote fan fiction, right? The level of connectivity you have to something to
Exactly.
want to do. Oh yeah, that.
I'm telling you, no one touched me. Just leave me on the floor. No one touched me.
So, Isabelle, now we're going to move into a speed round, our nerdy and dirty speed round. I'm just going to give you some quick prompts, and we want you to just give us the first thing that comes into your head. Okay?
Excellent. This should be crazy.
There are no wrong answers. Okay. So, are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Last song you listened to?
Wicked Games.
Ooh, nice. What fictional character do you have a crush on?
I do not crush on fictional characters.
Well, you're better
She's a
than me.
realist.
Yeah, you're better than me.
I mean, they're very pretty to look at and read about, but I do not crush on them. I'm sorry.
Do you do any celebrity crushes?
I do not.
Ooh. Well, the next step would be just like people in your life crushes. So I'm not going to ask that. That's too
I
real.
don't, well, I think, okay, so let me explain. I'm demisexual, so I don't often have crushes.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's probably the reason why there's no crushing.
It's like not important to you.
I have
No, I'm like,
And that's great.
okay.
crushes
I
and
know.
good boyfriends, and I have enough for the both of us, so we're good. We're good there.
Perfect.
A book series you always recommend?
Ooh, well, it depends on what you're into. If you're into young adult, I definitely always recommend The Winner's Curse by Marie Rutkowski. If you are into sci-fi, Illuminae by Amy Kaufman. And let's see, and The Golden Compass, His Dark Materials by Philip Pullman. Always recommend them.
Awesome.
My
Those
TBR always grows when we
I
have
know.
these.
Yes. It's like, oh, I haven't read that one. Oh, I haven't read that one. It's too many books. I still haven't read Fourth Wing, honestly, and I keep adding more books.
You were there.
I know. I have a signed like special edition up in my room. I still haven't read it because I keep reading all this other stuff. Anyway, what TV series should everyone watch?
Veronica Mars.
Yes, we
Oh
love
my
Veronica
gosh.
Mars. Did you watch
Veronica,
the new one?
it doesn't
the
exist.
newest season?
It doesn't exist.
See, that is how I feel about it. And Mindy
It doesn't exist.
liked it more than I did, but I'm very much with you on that. Like, no.
I'd rather watch the first 3 seasons over and over again, though.
Sure.
sure.
And the movie. I like the movie.
I liked the movie okay, but I actually liked the new, like the
new
reboot
season
better than the movie.
Oh
but not
my.
better than the original season. That's
No.
just like perfection.
Those are fantastic. Yeah.
I am a what is it called, a fundamentalist when it comes to TV shows and movies. If I really like them once, like, don't try to ruin it and make them new or whatever.
Just let it be the perfection
Just
that it
let
is, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Well, you may not have a good answer for this one without book crushes, but is there a book character that you would get nerdy and or dirty with?
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Is that your character choice?
I mean, there's always the option of Aragon from Lord of the Rings. I think that
That's a great choice.
like, sure, why not? That would be something I would say yes to. And I don't know. I think when I was younger, I definitely had a serious crush on Draco from Harry Potter. I did.
Mm.
I was young, and it was the thing to get over a crush on.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have a good answer for that. I'm so
I
sorry.
think Draco and Aragorn are both great
very good
answers.
answers,
Yeah,
yeah.
those are well done. Well done, you.
Landed that one.
Yeah. A food you would refuse to eat, or you do refuse to eat.
Okay, so this one's hard because I am the person that will try almost anything, but I think insects is when I draw the line.
Yeah.
Unless you're covered in chocolate or chili, and then I will consider it.
It would have to be a lot of chocolate for
It would
me.
be too.
Exactly.
What paranormal power would you want to have? Or fantasy world power?
I would like to travel through time.
Me too.
Time travel.
Yeah, that would be a great one.
I think
Favorite weekend activity?
Oh my God, it's been so long since I've just rested on the weekend, but I'm not going to choose that and be boring. Okay. I'm going to choose something good. I love going to farmers markets, and overspending and paying extra amount of money on random cheeses that have fungi in them.
Yeah.
So I think I would, but it has to be a cool morning. It cannot be a hot morning. And I know it's hyper specific, but that's my answer.
No, I think that's great. I love a
I
good
think
farmer's
you know
market.
what you want and you know what you like. I love that.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
just go for it. Unapologetically you.
Yes.
Smut or plot?
Plot.
Favorite childhood book?
The Secret Garden, probably.
Oh, that's
That
a
one
great
too.
one.
Yeah, it's probably. I learned a lot. I learned a lot of English slang. I learned from Sweet Valley High, but the actual language of English, I read it by listening to an audiobook that used to be in cassettes. They will rent them in the library in cassette bags, and I would listen to them.
Oh, I
That
love
is
that.
awesome. I work
Yes.
in a library and we actually still have some of those.
Do you?
Cassette tapes?
Yes.
Oh,
They're
wow.
in our back room. Nobody ever checks them out or anything.
Because nobody has a
But they're
cassette player.
there.
We do have a cassette player. In
Oh,
the
you
library.
do?
Yes,
Oh,
we
that's
do.
cool.
I don't know. Maybe one day I'll get them out and it'll be a station or something. Hey,
Yeah.
figure out how
I
to
think
use the
so. I
cassette
think that's
tape.
fun.
That's really cool. Currently reading or the last book you finished and loved?
The last book, I have not currently reading any. I've tried to starting like 20 books this past month. It's just the way it is. But I did finish in May, Half a Soul by Olivia Atwater, and I love that one.
I haven't heard of
I
that
haven't heard
one.
that one either.
Add it to the list.
It's kind of like Howl's Moving Castle. It's the closest I can describe it. And because I have a thing for Studio Ghibli, it fits and it is fantasy, but it's set in the Victorian era.
Ooh,
Oh, cool.
that's different.
Yes.
Definitely adding it to the list. And lastly, for our speed round, cake or pie?
Probably pie. Probably
same
pie.
way.
Yes.
I think I'm the
Give me
only
key
one of us
lime
who-
pie
Yeah.
any day.
Oh, key lime pie. Now key lime pie, I would say.
I like
yes,
a
too.
good chocolate covered cherry pie too.
Yeah, that is. Yeah, there's lots of options.
Yeah,
A coconut pie.
Yep.
I
I
mean,
just like dessert.
Yeah.
Like, in general, I just like dessert.
exactly.
So now we're going to go into not really a speed round, but we're calling this 3 tough questions. So these are
Let me
questions.
take a drink.
Yeah. These are questions about your writing and your characters in books, but
Okay.
they're tough. So here we go. What is a scene that you edited out of a book, but really wish you could have kept it in?
For both book 1 and book 2, I have had to edit out a particular character who will be the main character of book 5.
Ooh, nice.
Yes. Her name is Liana, and at the beginning of in book 1, she's 11 years old. And she's a very precocious young lady who loves to read and ask tough questions and has a very adult-like personality. So I've had to remove 2 of her scenes in book 2 and 1 of her scenes in book 1. I still regret it.
But her time is coming.
I was gonna say, but
For
Her
book
time is
5.
coming.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's awesome. What is a super specific detail about one of your characters that doesn't really affect the story, but is just something that makes you love them?
Interesting. I like that. My main character, Almira, never mourned her mother.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yes, I didn't do that on purpose. I just realized it after because I find that I get to know my characters after I write them. And I realized in book 2 that she had never mourned her or her father when he passed away. And I was like, well, we're going to have some repercussions about this. Yes.
Layers and layers.
Yes.
Yes.
And then last tough question.
Okay.
What is a writing ritual that you have that might make you seem a little unhinged?
I will write anytime. I do not have to. I mean, I can write with you talking to me, and I will be writing scenes.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah. The ability to
Yes.
focus.
That's
Yes, I can compartmentalize really well.
Yeah.
So there could be chaos happening around me, and I am hyper focused.
I can't do that.
I can't either.
I definitely cannot
I
do that.
can't even like tie my shoes if there's chaos.
I mean, yeah, I can't do anything. So our last kind of speed round, but not really. We're calling this 4 random questions, and that's exactly what they are. So away we go. What is the most embarrassing thing you've ever said in a public setting?
It was during definitely during the event in yes, let's do that one. The event in DC. And I was doing questions and answers with Lit Buzz, you know, that they were interviewing authors.
Yeah.
And they asked me who would I like to be roommates with. And I thought about it for a second, and I definitely said Captain Sana, not only because she could protect me from anything that comes through the door because she's a badass warrior, but also she's a very talented lover, and I think that that would be very beneficial. And I said it with a straight face, and I'm reliving it to this day.
I was gonna say I've said some really embarrassing things. That's not that.
Whitney's offered to act out sex scenes for people.
Oh, and
Like
as
they're drafting, and it was Scarlett St. Clair, and she was like,
and how did that go?
okay.
You see, I would have asked you to suggest some positions.
But I mean, the offer still stands for all of our author friends that are listening.
She's willing. She's
And
available.
so is my husband.
Okay, yeah, you can take the other role.
Yeah, exactly. Have you ever seen a ghost or had any kind of paranormal experience?
No. There's a part of me that wishes I had, but I haven't. I do think that when I was younger, I probably thought I saw things and things like that.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it was just I have a very hyperactive imagination, and hence why I write. But no, I have not. I think that I think I would be petrified. I don't do horror whatsoever.
I don't really either. I'm with you on that.
I'm good. I don't need to have any of those experiences.
I'll just write my own stories. Thank you.
Exactly.
What is a movie or a TV show that you quote or reference the most often?
Okay, so there's several. There's definitely The Goonies.
Oh, I love that movie.
The Goonies, definitely. A little unknown 1990s film called Oscar with Sylvester Stallone. It's like one of those yeah, it's hyper quotable in our family, and we've watched it so many times, we recognize it. So I think that those two, and of course, Back to the Future.
Oh, yeah. I love Back to the Future. I love
because my dad kind of looked, my dad passed away years and years and years ago, but he kind of looked like the scientist. I forget his name.
Oh, Doc Brown.
Doc Brown.
Yeah. And he would have like off the wall ideas. And one time a random friend was over, and my dad came out and said something bizarre like Doc Brown would say. And after he left, my friend looked at me and he was like, where we're going, we don't need no roads. And I was like, yes.
That's what my kids say when I leave the room. That kind of stuff. I feel like I'm the person that they talk about quotes about.
I mean, eccentricity is underrated.
Yeah. It makes everything more fun, right?
for sure.
No, my entire family is extremely eccentric, and I have really solidified that this past few weeks because they've all come down. So I have a house full of very eccentric people. So when people who are not part of our family or have married into our family see us all together, they're all like, "Whoa, this is just like a lot."
What have I done?
See, that sounds like an amazing weekend to
I
me.
think it would be
want
really
to come hang
fun.
out with you and your family.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that
see,
sounds like a good
the
time.
way I just have you ever seen my big fat Greek wedding?
Oh, yeah.
That's my family. So it's a lot. It's very intense.
Oh, that's too funny.
I actually quote my big fat Greek wedding sometimes, and no one ever knows what I'm talking about because I'll go, "You don't eat no meat."
You don't eat no meat.
Yeah, nobody knows what I'm talking about. So our
I mean,
last,
that would be very scandalous in my family too.
right? Mine too, both sides. Our last random question.
Yes.
What is your zombie apocalypse plan?
I'm gonna garden.
Nice.
Yes, I mean we need to eat, right? We need to eat.
And
So
the zombies aren't going to eat that.
They're not going to
Right.
eat your garden. Yeah.
right. I think putting up a perimeter fence and gardening, like a lot of tomatoes, kind of like how I did in 2020 when I thought we was all dying. And I started planting tomatoes, only I didn't realize that tomatoes are not tiny plants, right? So I had a jungle in my backyard.
I was just about to ask, did they take over?
Completely. My brother looked outside one day. He was like, I think we're going to have to go outside with a machete. They kept sprouting leaves. I never gardened before in my life, but I figured we need tomatoes. So let me plant like 72 plants.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. I wish that I had a green thumb. I would love to be able to garden. Like I keep telling them sometimes I just want to live in Little House on the Prairie. Like I just want to do all of those things, but I suck at all of them.
I would now I loved Little House on the Prairie. That is another like of my childhood thing, but I would so not survive.
Yeah, I wouldn't
survive either. In my head, I would survive. I really want to go in the first wave of the apocalypse because it sounds like a really rough time afterwards. But if I am unlucky enough to live, I would definitely garden after I put up a perimeter fence.
Well, we'll come.
I don't know how I'm putting the perimeter fence.
I'll recruit somebody who can do that, right?
A hot hunk. I actually have a hyper specific genre trope that I love to read, and it's not often found in books, and that is post-apocalyptic cozy fiction.
Sounds like that might be your next project.
Yeah, we need an Aragorn type, like in modern times, who can build the perimeter fences for us and like fight off the zombies.
That sounds.
While we plant tomatoes.
Feed him. Yeah, we feed him tomatoes, and he takes care of everything else.
That sounds. Super
I think
actually,
is that too much to ask? I mean, come on.
Yeah, I mean, I just with all the cozy rage nowadays, give me some post-apocalyptic cozy fantasy. I think I would really like that.
That's awesome. Well, if you're not going to write that book, what are you writing next? Are you just going to are you still continuing on in the Queen and Conqueror series or the Queen's Red Guard series?
Yes, I'm currently in a monogamous relationship with that series because I cannot be trusted to write other things other than what I'm working on. Because I would
be that way too. Yeah.
Yeah, I have to focus. I am currently writing the third book in the series. I'm about 70,000 words in, had to be put on pause, but August 1st is my time to go back into the writing and see if I can finish it off in August so that I can get it to my editor in October.
You can do it.
Do you have a deadline for that one?
I don't have a publishing. It's going to definitely come out next year. It just depends on the conditions of the manuscript when my developmental editor gets her hands on it. That's really what we are. That's what we'll tell.
It's going to be great.
It's going to be awesome. You're
gonna after about 12 rounds. After 12 rounds of edits, it's going to be great.
Yeah.
Yes. We were lucky enough to meet you at Imaginarium back in May. Do you have any other events or festivals or any book signings or anything that you have coming up?
I'm hoping to go to a polycon next year. I've never gone to a polycon. And I'll definitely be going to Imaginarium next year. And I got invited to, I think, 2 of the types of like balls. I've never gone to one. Like people, there's a ball.
Awesome.
So I'm looking into that to see if that's how I can do it. It was my first year attending. So I was originally going to do 2 events this year and I had to cancel one. But maybe aiming for 3 next year to see how I do.
That's awesome.
Awesome. Well, we can't wait to see you at Imaginarium. We'll be there also.
Yeah.
It's gonna be even bigger than this past year.
Oh, I know. I'm so excited.
Yes, it's gonna be great.
What's the best place for us to buy your books? Like, where would you prefer people to buy your books, and then where else can they get them?
So I prefer the paperbacks, and of course, ebooks. You have to get them on Amazon because it is on Kindle Unlimited. You can also read it on Kindle Unlimited. The books, if you want them signed, they are on my website. They're the same price as Amazon. You just have to pay a little for shipping, and I always send extra goodies because I'm obsessed with purchasing goodies like stickers and bookmarks. It's like my ability, like my Lisa Frank years reawakens. Like I can have as many stickers and bookmarks as I want in the name of I'm an author now. So that works for my benefit. And of course, hardcovers, you can grab them from Barnes & Noble, also works.
Awesome. I think we might be soul sisters because Lisa Frank lives in my heart as well.
It's the colors. There was so much happiness in it.
Vibrant and fun. You could not frown at a Lisa Frank sticker.
The Trapper Keeper, like if you Trapper Keeper Lisa Frank, you were in another level.
Yes, you were.
I always wanted to be on that other level. It worked out.
It was like, if as an adult, I think that if you like Lisa Frank when you were young and you were not able to get it, you should definitely treat yourself to it now.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah.
Why not?
I'll have to go to the store tomorrow.
You should. So you said you have a website. Can you tell us what that is and where else we can find you online?
Oh, of course. It's isabelleolmo.com. And it's not just books there. I have tote bags. I've got book overlays, which I am obsessed with. I didn't even know it was a thing until I discovered them. And you can find me on TikTok, Isabelle Olmo. Just Isabelle Olmo on TikTok. I have a Facebook group and I have a Discord of those who have really loved the book and are obsessively talking about it. So those are always fun to interact with.
Love that. And you're also on Instagram because that's kind of how we
Oh yes, Isabelle Olmo Books on Instagram is my my username. Sorry, there's so many. I need some social medias to stop.
It's too many.
I know they need to quit creating new ones for sure.
I know they came out with Threads and I was like, no, I can't.
It's stressing me
I
out.
opened it and then I'm like, I don't have the head for this.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm hoping that everybody kind of says that.
So we don't have to do it.
Well, sometimes, when you're updating your social media, you're kind of like, okay, I did TikTok, I did Instagram, I did Facebook. What did I forget? Oh, my mailing list. Right. I have a mailing list. And that's how it goes.
Yeah.
Well, we do have one final question. If you listen to our podcast, we always end every episode talking about what our nerdiest thing of the week was. And it could be anything. It could be something we did, something we said, something that happened, anything, that we consider something nerdy in our lives. So we would love to know what your nerdiest thing of the week was.
Well, I don't know if it's nerdy, but it was eccentric. We'll put it that way. I taught my 5-year-old niece to dance flamenco while knowing not how to dance flamenco, and ended up being stabbed in the eye by a fan.
Oh no.
gosh.
For
Are
a
you
second, I thought
okay?
you meant like a fan, like a fan of your books. And I was like, oh my God.
No, like the flamenco
But the
fan that they
Yeah,
use.
yeah.
She was like, I got it right in my eye, and I'm like falling backwards. But I really felt that it was important for her to have the proper posture for flamenco. Why it didn't, I don't know.
Well, if it's important to you, then
Right.
it should be important to her.
Yes, I was like, this has come down from generations. You need to know how to do it. Her dad came in like, what are you doing? She doesn't know how. She's 5. She doesn't need to know how to learn flamenco.
Oh my gosh, that's so great. Well,
Yes.
Isabelle, it has been so great to talk to you. We were so excited to be able to chat again after having so much fun getting to know you and talk to you a little bit at Imaginarium. Thank you so much for being on tonight. It's been so much fun.
And thank you for inviting me again. I appreciate you both. And thank you for being such easy to talk to.
Thank you. That just made my whole day.
Yay.
To talk to you too. So.
Well, have a great night. Thank you so much. And we'll see you at Imaginarium next year, if not before.
Yes. Awesome. Thank you so much, ladies.